Yes. Good evening, everyone. Here we are on the platform of Metkoto. The meaning of Metkoto is metamorphosis, is bringing creating awareness on how women can be empowered across the nation. And TOTO Koto is community of oneness and togetherness. So here we are creating a community of oneness and togetherness uniformly with women across the globe, not only in terms of education, but as awareness, but as an eye opener for all the women sitting in the nook and corner of the society and who are not able to and build up that hope and that courage to come up. So today we have a very esteemed guest, Jenny Rapstad ma'am from USA, and she is going to highlight about how women can be empowered through her own journey, her own story, her own way, the way she has been enriching not only educators but also more and more men and women across the globe, and how even men can support their wives to come up in life. So, a brief idea on how ma'am is going to create awareness is, first of all, I have to give a brief idea. So, here it is, women has societies indefatigable leaders. Wonderful topic for today. An old American adage, has been shared by Jenny Rapsett, ma'am. An old American adage says that a man's work is sun to sun. Please listen carefully. A man's work is sun to sun. A woman's work is never done. Wow. This saying has its origin in the days when men worked on their farms or their place of employment from dawn to dusk, while their wives stayed home taking care of the house and their children. Their wives' tireless work at home was often dismissed as idle time, which is a very misconception myth. Today in the USA, women's overall employment has reached 99.9%, and it will still keep growing. Still indefatigable, many women are heads of their household while taking on high level positions in industry and their community, just as Jenny ma'am is taking the leading role in our Metamorphosis platform, also creating awareness not only on education but a multi-dimensional aspect of education, mental health awareness, early childhood education, education in general, and in terms of linguistic performance also of every person, not only for children. So we are here with Jenny ma'am, a wonderful and an esteemed guest over here. So empowering women helps to create a more just and equitable society for everyone. Health and well-being. Women's empowerment is also important for promoting health and well-being. When women have access to education and healthcare, they can better take care of themselves and their families, which I think is a must need in today's time. Once we have battled the COVID and we are here breathing, eating, laughing, smiling with people across the globe, that we call as a humanitarian connect. And this is the blessing that we have been given not only by the creator who has created us, but by COVID and pandemic, which we are sometimes tend to think that it has been a disgrace to the world. So if we think in terms of bringing positive section to ours also, we are connected with people across the globe, sharing interculturally, not only education, but dimensional effect of women empowerment, humanitarian causes, societal expectations, and breaking barriers. So here we are with Jenny ma'am. Over to you, and please give a brief introduction, and you can start from your story and journey, how we got Jenny Rapstar ma'am as a blessing. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for that wonderful and warm introduction. I'm very happy to be here. So glad to be able to talk about women's issues, and I'm happy to share my story. First of all, I'd like to say that my story spans a great deal of changes in culture in the United States. I am now 76 years old. So I have lived through a great many societal, cultural changes here in the United States, and there's more to come. But I'd like to talk about my mother, first of all. Many people say, Jeannie, where do you get all of your energy? I'm getting older now, and where do you get all this energy? And well, I was trained to be a person that accomplishes these things. My mother and my father were married for 6 years, and they produced 4 children. during that time. And they got a divorce when I was 4. And times were hard for my mother. She had gotten married right out of high school, like so many women of her generation did. They went to high school, they fell in love with somebody, and they got married, and the children came right away. So my mother didn't have any education. So her chances of getting a decent paying job on her own were not good. So she went and back to a community college and took a nursing course of 2 years, became a licensed vocational nurse, which is one step above nurse's aide and one step below registered nurse. And so she began working at the local hospital, and we had babysitters and caregivers in the home when we were younger. But as I became older, my mother put a lot of responsibility on me. I was not the oldest child. I had 3 brothers, and I had an older brother and 2 younger. But my older brother didn't have the leadership abilities that I had. So my mother relied on me a lot. So from a very young age, I had to manage staff, meaning my brothers. My mother expected chores to be done when she got home from work. She expected me to be the chief housekeeper. She expected me to, cook for my brothers. She expected me to make sure that my brothers did their chores. And, I really didn't like that because I just wanted to be a kid. But I had these responsibilities of management, time management, a management of staff. And so when I grew up, these skills became a part of who I was, and I began to become a reluctant leader in my activities, whether it was at school or at my job or whatever. It was clear to people who were observing me that I had had some experience running a little show. I also was very interested in education. Didn't always have the money for it, so it took me a long period of time to get my undergraduate degree. 26 years it took me to get that, here and there, working here and there. But when I got my bachelor's degree, the whole world opened up to me. I was able to get a job in Japan teaching English as a second language. I went there, worked as a ESL teacher for 2 years. Then I got a job working in the office of the president of a Japanese multinational plastics company. That led to an assignment in the Philippines, travel for business. So literally the whole world opened up to me because of my education. Later on, I came back to the States and I began to learn intellectual property law, which is, I had an interest in learning about patents and the US Patent and Trademark Office. And so I started working first as a patent secretary, then I became a patent paralegal. I moved to Chicago, where I was working for a very well known intellectual property boutique firm. And I started my work as a graduate student at Purdue University. So throughout this whole course of my life, always pursuing lifelong learning, always wanting to uh, try to develop my potential to the fullest. And I was rewarded for that by, becoming on online platforms, speaking with people from all over the world, which is one of the things that I do now. And being able to join this delightful platform on Metamorphosis, it's been a real pleasure for me. But I was not a typical woman because during my childhood, most families stayed married. The father stayed married to the mother, whether they were happy or not. There was, my family was not typical. My mother suffered a little bit because of being branded a divorcee, and it was hard for her financially. Now, I want to make a confession to you that is a little embarrassing for me to say, but there is a point to it. During the time that I was growing up with my mother, my father was completely absent. Um, Not one time during my childhood did he ever call and say, Hey, Jeannie, how's school? Do you have shoes? Are you getting enough to eat? I never got a birthday present, never got a Christmas present. The man was completely absent from my life. And we will find now in the United States, as a 2023 US Census Bureau statistic, 25% of American children under the age of 6 lived with only one or no parents. Maybe they were farmed out to foster care or a grandmother. And as the child gets older, this statistic raises to 32% of young children by the time they reach 12 to 17, they're living in a household with no father. So this is 18.3 million children. That is a lot of children growing up without a father in the home. And this is the highest rate globally. The United States has a very poor record of maintaining fathers in the home. And as a result, many of these children grow up living in poverty. And the research shows and supports the fact that 84% of homeless families, are, the mother is trying to make ends meet. So what we find is, as a result of lack of fathering in the house, more and more stress and burden is placed on the mother. So she's working mother. She has to be indefatigable, that word that I chose for the title. She cannot afford to get tired because she has no support. And more women I used to see in the workplace, women working alongside with me with no husbands and putting in that full day of work and then racing to pick the children up from daycare. Then they make dinner, then they help the children with the homework. They don't come home and sit in front of the TV, drink an adult beverage and relax. No, they have no time to relax. Getting clothes ready for school the next day. It is one little chore after another until finally they retire to bed and the next day starts the same. So I want to, first of all, applaud all of those women who do that, who put in that time, most of the time not complaining. They just realize this is what I have to do and this is what I do. And I also went to graduate school with young mothers who were juggling job, children, and getting that master's degree because they wanted to be able to increase their earning potential. Statistics have shown, and I did some research on this, and this is a leadership that was article that was uh, printed in 2015, but it still is holds true today. And this is from the McKinsey research firm, which is a very well-known firm here in the United States, that most women who want to climb the corporate ladders are mothers. They're not single women. They are mothers that are trying to uh, earn more money to support their families, but they've also developed leadership skills by doing all of these chores by themselves. So they have learned time management, organizational management, staff management. They've learned all these skills. And so they want to move into C-level positions, CEO, chief financial officer, chief operating officer, chief marketing officer. They want those C-level jobs because it brings more income, but they've also earned that right to be a leader because of all of the experience they've had at home. So this is a phenomenon that we are examining here in the United States of why do competent single women not want C-level positions? Well, it has to do with the fact that we don't get paid the same as men for the same kind of work. And some women resent that. So they feel like, well, if I'm not going to get the money, why should I have the headache? Whereas maybe a single mother is saying, no, whatever salary increase I can get, I'm willing to take it because I need the money. So this is a statistic that we are still trying to explore. How can we encourage confident single women to take a place in a corporate structure? Because most of them, if they have anything going for them at all, they want to start their own business because they don't want anybody telling them what to do, pushing them around, harassing them for little money. I'm going to tell you a sad truth here. This is the way it's been to my entire work life of over 50 years. If you talk about salaries in the workplace, like discussing how much he is making versus what you're making, you can get reprimanded or even fired. And the reason is that management does not want women to know how much less money they are making than a man with exactly the same education and experience. They don't want you to know that because then you'll fight back. See, say,
Exactly.
hey, what's the heck? But I used to have an annual review as a patent paralegal, and the patent paralegal committee would call me into the office, and they'd start telling me about and basically we were going to end up with, what my increase was going to be for the year. And I would always say the same thing. I don't know if you are familiar with the movie Oliver Twist or the book Oliver Twist. He was a little orphan boy. He wanted more food, and so he would hold his bowl and say, "More, please." Okay. So at the end of my assessments, my annual assessments, and they would tell me what my increase would be for the year, I would say, well, thank you. But to quote Oliver Twist, more, please. And I used to do this every year. And, the first couple of times they laughed, the second time they didn't. But I meant it every time. I meant it. When you are a capable worker, then you want to be rewarded. We're sort of promised that. If you work really hard and you do a good job and your quality is wonderful, like mine was, no errors, no mistakes, because when you are working for clients with the United States Patent and Trademark Office, you have unlimited opportunities to make mistakes. It's a very, very technical, very, very precise. You have to know your business. And your clients are counting on you knowing your business so you can protect their patent rights and their trademark rights. So I made sure that my work was checked, double checked, and triple checked by me, was there was not going to be any errors on applications that I filed because I owed that to the client. So as a result of my dedication, I wanted more, please.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Mhm.
Anyway, so that's my story. And
Wonderful,
now,
ma'am. Yeah. So I would like to share some questions related to it, like the way you share your journey and the story, and the way your aura pulls people. Because when you are sincere from heart and when you are sincere from your soul, definitely people attract personalities. So you have to be sincere, you have to be authentic for people to be pulled towards you. So it's all a matter of cosmic connection and a kind of you can say a connection from the universe, you can say. So we are blessed to have you. So my first question to you, ma'am, is how can women empower themselves and others? And how can women support each other through mentorship, coaching, and networking? In short, I would like to you, because you are into the field of education as well as you're into creating awareness for languages also. So collaborating on all these things, how you can empower women on these grounds like mentorship, coaching, and networking. Over to you, ma'am.
well, thank you for that question because it's something that I have been thinking about a lot. Now that I have reached this certain age, I feel like I should maybe do more to recognize places in my community where I can support women. One of the things that I have already done is I work with women entrepreneurs at Purdue University Commercialization and Manufacturing Excellence Center for a couple of years from 2019 until January of this year. What I found is very clever women wanting to start a business, and they're married and they don't have support at home. So by having my workshop, they have a place to go where they're getting support and information, because I did a lot of research. Apply here for grant money, go here for pitch money, try to get venture capitalists involved in you. So I did a lot of research, which I shared with them, because here is the situation, and it's sad but true. Some husbands don't want a wife that overshadows them. So even though the wife has a wonderful idea for a business and she's willing to work on it, as we say in the States, as a side hustle, that means she has a regular job, but on the side, she's doing this business part time. And she's beginning to see some results, some success. Some men just don't like the competition. And I had a couple of women like that in my workshop. And one particular case, I was doing some private coaching because this person was pitching for money, and she ended up doing very well, and ended up being on a TV show that was broadcast on Netflix. And she got some money to support her startup.
Wonderful.
But I used to, be that rock for her, because when she went home, there was no support at home. There was the husband saying, "Oh, why are you wasting our money on that silly thing?" Blah, 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 blah. I didn't allow her to feel that way. I said, "No, this is going to take off. This is a wonderful product." She's selling this product on Amazon and one of the biggest drugstores in the United States, which is Walgreens. And so she is slowly moving her product to the top. And you can actually buy it on her website. So it's already international business. And hopefully she'll be able to scale it so that it actually becomes a way for her to make
Wonderful.
a lucrative income in her retirement. But I want to do more of this kind of workshops and support for women, that they can go and say, you know, Jeannie, I just really need, you know, somebody like you that's been around the world and can give me support. I had a young woman, younger than me, but she's not a girl, but she brought a problem to me, and I was listening, and I realized that she wanted feedback from me, because otherwise she wouldn't be telling me this story. So I listened to her, and then I gave her my best thoughts on the matter, and she said, "Jeannie, thank you. See, I don't have a mother now, and
Wonderful.
I miss talking to my mother."
Yes, definitely. So, over to second question is, we talk about breaking barriers. We talk about hashtags, and we have been keeping talking about hashtag this, hashtag that, but we are not implementing. We are practically not doing it. So, as exemplary leaders in the field of education and in the field of other multidimensional aspects, according to you, how can women break down barriers? How can women break down barriers that hold women back, such as discriminatory laws and an unfair share of home and family care? Because we talk about empowerment, but somewhere in the nook and corner, there is one woman who is not being given that kind of encouragement from the family, or not being given proper care on the medical grounds, just because they need her as a slave, they need her as a help, in spite of shattering her dreams and passion that she has. Over to you, ma'am.
I'm really very, very interested in advocacy. Right now, I'm interested in a group called Moms for America. Once again, it's not dads for
Yes.
America, it's moms for America. We have a situation, and have had for the past 10 years or so, maybe longer, but last 10 years that I'm aware of, where a very liberal group of educators. I'm using that term loosely because when you indoctrinate children, you're not educating them, but they have taken over our educational system. And one of the benefits of COVID is that when we went to remote learning, the mothers that were at home were listening to the lessons and what the teachers were saying. And they began to say, no, no, we are not doing this. One of the filthy tricks, and I'm just going to say it for what it is, that this group of indoctrinators uh, try to sell to a group of children is critical race theory. And critical race theory basically boils down to all white people are evil. And if they don't appear evil to you, they're just faking it. So they started this indoctrination, which causes, problems amongst the children when we're trying to have inclusion and diverse backgrounds. And then you're saying, hey, there is an enemy within. That's not good. So Moms for America began to say, no, you're not doing that anymore. You're not going to do that. And then we have gender issues, which some of these educators tried to tell little boys and little girls, you're not really a little boy. You really feel like you're a girl. So don't tell your mom that we're meeting at
Yes,
lunchtime.
yes,
And so this has been going on, and this is another issue that Moms for
certainly.
America are taking on. So what I'm saying to women and men, if you see an issue that is just not right, you have to
Yes,
take a stand. You have to stand up and be counted, because if you stay silent, the people that are doing the wrong actions and the wrong indoctrination of our students or anybody else, they're not going to have any opposition. They're just going to continue doing what they're doing. So I have become interested in this group, Moms for America, and I try to keep track of what they're doing. Now, what I would like to do, excuse me, where you and I have another discussion coming up later this month where we're going to talk about caregiving, because I went through that with my mother. But one of the things that I have gotten very interested in this past year is trying to determine how I can become an advocate for older people that are on their own, that don't have families to take care of them, that don't have children, because oftentimes we have a situation where an older person is by themselves, and so when they need help, they can't fall back on a child. They can't, and even people that have children can't always fall back on their children to help them in time of need. So I have become very interested in looking for ways that I can become an advocate for older people. So these are the kinds of things, if you are a woman or a man and you see that there is a need in your culture, step up. If there is no group for you to join, then consider starting your own. Because if you have noticed that there is an issue, other people have noticed that there is an issue. And so
wonderful.
I would say that become an advocate.
Exactly. Love this aspect. Third one question to over to you is, since you are an entrepreneur also and a woman and a leader, I will say as a leader, how can governments promote women's economic empowerment, which I think is the need of the hour? How can government promote women's economic empowerment, close the gender pay gap, and increase job opportunities and access to loans also? Why are men only applying for loans? Women are more secured because the men take the loan, but women are the ones who are helping the men to pay them off behind the curtains.
Yeah, and
They are trying to, yeah, over to you, ma'am.
this is one of the issues that we face because we don't have enough women in top leadership positions. So men say, oh no, she's not going to be able to pay off that loan. Look at her, she's struggling raising 3 kids, blah, 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 blah. I'll tell you something that I learned, okay? And then I'm going to bring it back to America. When I was working for the Japanese plastics company, I was stationed in the Philippines for about 10 months. And I went with a Japanese friend of mine who's husband was working there in the Philippines to the home of the lady who, at that time, her husband was in charge of the World Bank. And the World Bank at that time had a policy of lending money to impoverished women. And they would buy a sewing machine, and then they would start a seamstress business or some kind of making of placemats or tablecloths or something for the tourist industry. And what this lady told me, her husband reported that there was never a default on the loan.
Exactly.
Those ladies always made sure that they paid their loan payment on time. So you see the culture that we have in banking in the United States and maybe around the world, that women are not reliable. No, no, no. That's wrong. Women budget for their households. They know
Exactly.
how to stretch their money. They know when bills are due and what has to be paid. So to insult them by not giving them money because they're women is just wrong. There also to in Indiana, because I worked for uh, Purdue CMEC for a while and was involved in pitch competitions. I have to say that in Indiana, we have a little better record than most of the United States in terms of women actually winning pitch competitions and getting the prize money, and women being able to attract an angel investor or a venture capitalist. Our record is a little bit better. But that is because there is this economic ecosystem that Purdue University created in my area that supports women, and we don't have that everywhere. So we have to, once again, be advocates. You know, we go and talk to people and say, listen, why aren't you giving women a more of an opportunity? And this means talking to your representatives. You know, there, my representative here in District 1 at the state level is a woman. You know, I should be able to take these kinds of problems to her as a woman and say, even though we're not of the same political party, as women and empathetic people, we should be able to come to some sort of agreement on something needs to be done.
Exactly. Wonderful. Wonderful. So over to switching of the roles when we talk about role plays for children. So when we grow up as adults, why can't we take the role plays in the adulthood also? Why this social stigma that a woman only has to do this and a man doing that particular thing, what will the society say or what will people say? We always on that kind of a question mark. So according to you, how can men be allies and what are the ways men can be good allies to women? Over to you.
Well, you know, here we're supposed to be so enlightened in America. At least we tell ourselves that. But we also have a situation, you know, man works from sun to sun. And so men come home from work, they prop themselves up in the recliner, maybe pop open a beer, watching TV, watching sports. And meanwhile, the woman is racing around taking care of absolutely everything else. And what we have to do as mothers is we have to train our sons that
Yes,
you are not a guest in this house. You are part of this household, and you have to make sure that it runs efficiently. So
exactly.
women have to really train their sons, because if you don't, what you're doing is creating a man that is going to expect some woman down the road to take care of him for the rest of his life. And even my second brother, he was just 14 months younger than me. But even though we didn't have a man in the house, he got these macho ideas. This is women's work, blah, blah, blah. And so, as I told you before, my mother had expectations that certain chores
Yes,
would be done when she got home. And so I would tell him, you know, you have to do so and so. He goes, you're not the boss of me. I used to say, wait till mom gets home. You'll find out who's the boss of you.
yes,
So sometimes we women have to take a firm hand. is like, no, no, it's your turn to do the dishes. It's your turn to run the vacuum. They're not helpless. They if they live by themselves, they're going to have to run a vacuum, do the dishes. They can do that in their own home. My brother had this idea that men mowed the lawn, and then they want an award. Hey, I mowed the lawn. Hey, good for you. And you did everything else. So women have to really instruct their sons. And I
Yes,
find that more and more women are doing that as I have grown older. When I was younger, no, no, very strict gender roles. But now, not so much, because many women, as I mentioned, are raising the family by themselves. And so they need the support. And really, if you don't train your son to be a
correct.
vital part of the household, all
Agree
you're
100%
is
on this
is
spot.
you're just inflicting some kind of lazy bum on the woman he's going to marry down the road. I mean, who wants that?
Wonderful, wonderful. I mean, perfect key point feedback. So over to the last question of this round is, what are the components of women's empowerment? Number one, what are the components of women's empowerment, such as the sense of self-worth, their right to make choices, and their right to access opportunities and resources? Whereas we always stopping women from not doing this, even though she's doing the right thing. The person on the other side knows that that woman is doing the right thing. There will be a woman only to stop her to not to do, and because they don't want that woman to come up, or they may have those kind of men supporting a woman supporting her to stop the other person from not doing the right thing. So according to you, what are the components of women's empowerment, such as their sense of self-worth, their right to make choices, and their right to access opportunities and resources? Over to you, ma'am.
That is a really broad and deep question at the same time, because all of us, have to work within the framework of, our society, our neighborhood, and what our culture expects from us. But I have to go back to my mother's training of me. She put so much responsibility on me that I grew into an independent person who thought for herself. So as time went on, I didn't really care
Yes,
what
yes.
other people thought about what I was doing, because that ship sailed long time ago. My mother turned me into a manager and a leader. And so if I remember when I just told her, I'm moving to Japan. What? Yeah, I'm moving to Japan, Mom. See you later. And, there's nothing that she could do about it, because she raised me to see opportunities and take them when they came there. And also, I learned along the way that if there was no opportunity, I must create the opportunity for myself. So I would have to say a major component is to be able to think
Yes,
about what you
naturally.
truly want and then go get it. And then be around people that support that kind of thinking in you, because you will never, ever move forward if you have a lot of people pulling you back
Exactly,
as opposed to
exactly.
pushing you forward.
Wonderful. Wonderful feedback. So now this question, second round, we will start over pertaining to you as a person, as a woman, as an indefatigable woman, I will say. Over to you. So the first question is, how do you empower yourself and the women around you? I mean, the women whom you know that they are doing good work, and the women who know that society may change with examples of some kind of a woman trying to bring you change. So how do you empower yourself and the women around you?
Well, I'll tell you, the foundation of my life is prayer. So I pray in the morning and in the evening, and I rarely ever miss that. I have been practicing Buddhist since March of 1984. I converted from Christian to Buddhism way back in the day. And I felt like I wanted to overcome my karma, some things about my life I didn't like, and I wanted to improve. So I make prayer basis of my life, because it's not just, oh, please help me, please save me. It's not like I need to change this. I want to grow. I want to do this. So that is one of the things that I do every single day. I rarely ever miss my morning prayers or evening prayers. And the next thing that I would like to do for other women, when they need me to listen, I listen. I
Wonderful.
I don't go around looking at people and go, "Oh, you should do that. You should do this. I'm so much smarter than you." Blah blah.
Exactly.
Never. I never do that. But when somebody comes to me and tells me a situation that they would like some feedback from, I listen, and then I genuinely try to offer some common sense response. Because mostly when people are feeling down and out, they just want you to give them a hug, whether it's virtual or real, and say, you know, you've got this. You can get through this. I will help you. I've got your back.
Yes.
What do you need me to do for you?
Wonderful. Wonderful. So over to our second question is how do you tackle the daily challenges from a position of strength?
Well, when I get
Your
really tired,
your smile and your infectious laughter makes us all on the Metamorphosis platform also reignite this spark and create awareness. And yes, women can come up. Women can be indefatigable leaders. So over to you, ma'am.
well, when I get really tired, I take a nap. Okay. Because I work for myself and I'm by myself. If I want to write a speech or a paper starting at 9:30 at night, I just do it. So if I'm tired from the morning's task or errands that I've had to do or work that I've had to do, I just take a nap. I get my cat, we go, we take a nap. So then I wake up really refreshed. You would be surprised how much just a half hour nap can rejuvenate you. And I really employ that nap strategy. But basically, I try to have an organized day. I try to tell myself, okay, these tasks I'm going to address today and accomplish, and I take them off my list, because if we don't handle the tasks that we need to, then they begin to pile up on us and overwhelm us to the point we think like, I'm never going to get through this. I'm stuck in a rut, and you don't want to do that. So I make lists. Today, this must be attended to. Tomorrow, maybe I can do that. But today, this has to be done. This has to be done. And I keep myself, um, like I would have to say, disciplined to the task at hand. And one of the other things that I've done, this is way back in grad school, because I started grad school in 2005. Then my mother came to live with me. Lots of things happened. So over the 13 years I was in grad school, taking one class at a time, sometimes I would look at what was required for this particular class and I go, oh my gosh, because I was still working in Chicago for money at that time. I made a sign. I put it, it's still, I'm looking at it right now, above my computer monitor. Motivate yourself or be miserable.
Exactly.
Procrastination is self inflicted punishment. Get it done.
Wonderful.
So, whenever I feel like I'm slipping, I look at my sign and I say, get it done, Jeannie.
Wonderful. 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 So we have the lady with the magic hat over here standing in solidarity with all of us, with the members of Metamorphosis also. So the last question of this round is, what makes you a strong woman? Any three characteristic traits that you think you have to make you a strong woman?
Well, there are some days when I feel stronger than others,
Yes,
I must admit. But I think the first thing is, no matter what happens, I have faith in myself.
exactly.
I'm going to get through
Yes.
whatever challenge or obstacle I'm facing at that exact moment. because I have a track record of accomplishing things. So that track record has built this confidence in me. The second thing is, as I mentioned before, my faith. I really feel that I have a role to play in this life. And as long as I continue my prayers and my good intentions, I will meet those goals. And third is, I basically like people. I really want to help people. And I enjoy, I'm not saying that I like mean people, but, the average person, when I work with the young people in a class and we're having laughs and everything, you don't know how much pleasure that gives me. It really, really gives me a lot of pleasure. And then I'm going to tell you one other thing. This is my secret pleasure, is my hat collection.
Wonderful, wonderful. And what are the three things that fulfill you? Any three things that you feel happy that when sometimes in the morning you're not feeling okay. In the afternoon, mood fluctuates. By evening, more gloominess starts, and by night you feel more cheerful. But when you see that, in spite of not being okay, I feel it is okay not being okay, because that is where you try to pull things towards you by be feeling low or something. And according to, when you pass through certain kind of these kind of mood fluctuations, see, it's not necessary that women who pass through menopause or women who are going through pubertal changes face, women of all section face, irrespective of these kind of disorders. So a normal person, a normal girl, a normal lady, a normal woman will incorporate family life, a mother, a wife, society influencer, everyone passes through mood fluctuations. But it depends on what has caused the mood fluctuation. Then, according to you, when you pass through these kind of stages, at the end of the day, what fulfills you?
Well, one of the things that I think sort of lifts my spirits at the end of the day is I make a self assessment. How did you handle it today, Jeannie?
Yeah.
This came down the path. Did you do what you wanted to do, needed to do, had to
Yeah.
do, or did you just blow it off? And if I blow it off, then I say, no, 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 you need to handle it. Another thing that I like to do is I make a list and I review them. What to do when you're down in the dumps. And then I read through my list.
Exactly.
What to do if a friend has disappointed you. I read through my list.
Wonderful.
And then I began to get my spirits lifted because, as I said, I make a list of things. I keep track of inspirational things that motivate me. Sometimes I just get out my yoga mat and I stretch. I don't do yoga, but I do stretching on my yoga mat. Sometimes I get on my treadmill and do a little bit of physical exercises. Sometimes I just hug my cat and I say to him, "Are you a good boy or are you a rude boy?" And then I answer, "I'm a rude boy, mama." And then I get a big laugh out of it. These are silly nonsense things, but this is passes the
Wonderful.
a sweet little moment between me and my cat because he is my pet. But I do really think that I have a simple life. It's more of a life of the mind than anything
Exactly.
else because I'm constantly writing and I'm doing more of that now and I'm enjoying
Wonderful.
it a lot, as challenging as it is. But yeah.
I love the part when you said that you write down when a friend disappoints you, or when you feel disappointed by someone. But uh, converting it into an opposite direction, what tip will you give to those if they have disappointed others? What to do? Or if they feel that somebody is disappointed by you, what tip will you give that person?
Well, I'm going to be really honest with you here. If I disappoint somebody or I do something that somebody doesn't like, they're generally too afraid of me to tell
Touch
me.
wood. Touch wood. We are always blessed, ma'am. We are always blessed.
They generally don't say it. But I have to say, in the course of my life, when somebody has faced me down, and said, I didn't like what you said, I didn't like what you did, or
Exactly.
blah, 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 I do stop and pay attention.
Exactly.
And
Wonderful.
then I say to myself, well, you need to apologize because I never deliberately hurt people. So if I have offended somebody, I want to make it right because
Wonderful.
I find out if I say to somebody, I didn't like that remark you made, and they just blow me off, then I realize they don't care about my feelings. But I care about hurting other people. So if I have done it inadvertently, I would like to make it right. So what can I do to make this right with you? I'm sorry. Is that good enough, or what else do I need to do? Because good friends are hard to come by. So
Wonderful.
you can't abuse them. And
Wonderful.
if you accidentally hurt their feelings, you have to do everything you can to fix that. And that's my view.
Wonderful. That is exactly what we always see on the different side of the coin, and we never tilt the coin and see towards the other side also. So wonderful, ma'am. It was actually an eye-opener session, creating awareness, and definitely the perfect meaning of indefatigable from Jenny Rapsett, ma'am. How women can be indefatigable leaders. You don't need any external force. You don't. You just need a good support circle, a good woman empowerment circle whom you can rely on. Oh, yes, this is the person I can fall back on, and I'm bound to have this person in my life, and I want to treasure these people. So it was a wonderful eye opener session, and hope to create awareness among all the women who feel hopeless, who feel disempowered. Jenny ma'am is here to empower you all. Please listen to our show, and we welcome women leaders, business leaders, women corporates on this show of Metkoto, where we are here to enlighten women across the globe. So before we end the session, I would like to share some few words. Uh, for all the women over here, smile like you've never cried.
Yeah.
Fight like you've never lost. Love like you've never been hurt. And live like there is no tomorrow.
Yes.
So treasure
Wonderful.
each day, treasure each person, treasure every woman across the globe. You never know what battle she is fighting. You
Yeah.
never know what hardship she is going through. Be more of a judgmental person, non judgmental, and stay loyal, stay faithful, stay true. Metamorphosis and Metkoto are here to cheer you all up through enlightening leaders of tomorrow. And last is, if it's not meant to be, don't force it. If it's meant to be, don't fight it. It will come on your platter automatically. So over to you, ma'am. Thank you. And the last advice that you would like to give to all the women and the men across the globe to be a good support circle for each other. Over to you. Last lick.
Thank you. I really enjoyed all of those points that you just made so much. But I guess my closing remarks are, really be true to yourself, be good to yourself, be kind to the people that are in your life, and be a responsible person in your community. When you see that something needs to be addressed, advocate for it. Don't sit back and be quiet because we want to make the world a better place for everyone. Thank you for the kind invitation to be here today. I've had a marvelous time. Thank you.
It was an eye opener, ma'am. It was an eye opener because the topic that you gave actually really I wanted that only to create awareness. And thank you so much for your time, for your smile, for the purple connection over here, and thank you
we
for being a thank you for
we
being a very close and a core member of Metamorphosis also. We are proud to have you on Metkoto also, creating community of oneness and togetherness across the globe. So thank you so much, ma'am, and all the best. Looking forward to your more enlightening sessions from you. Thank you so much.
we need to
Yes,
have a screenshot, a big
yes.
smiling screenshot. Okay, on three. One, two, three. Okay, I'm going to put that on here, and hopefully I'll take a look at it, see if it's
Thank
okay.
you.
Let me paste this on here. Oh yeah, we look good.
Thank you so much.
Let's face it, we're
Thank
cute.
you.
Right?
Thank you so much, ma'am. Hats off to you, and thank you for being here and sharing your time and your enlightening words. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so
My
much.
pleasure.